What's good? Wave 3 TV back at you with another episode. We got Chuch from the Movement. Let us pull up on him at his crib. He let us interview him, talk about lowriders, working in Hollywood, and basically his whole life story, man. So tune in. It's going to be a good one.
Chuch here. What's up, my boy? How you doing?
What's going on? Thank you guys for stopping by.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate you guys.
Absolutely. So for the people who don't know who Chuch is, go ahead and let everybody know who you are.
Man, well, my name, Chuch. Everybody calls me as Chuch. The movement, the brand, something we started 5 years ago. Been out here in the Valley 7 years now.
Dope.
Originally from LA, born and raised. I moved out here when I was 39. And man, what an experience it's been, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people ask the questions of why the Valley?
Yeah.
Right. At the time and process, imagine growing up in LA, fast-paced environment, you're in the hood and you're growing up every day, coming back to school, coming after summer break, and you're like -1, -2, 3 friends that got killed over the summer.
Yeah.
And all that stuff. So that's something that was survival, right?
Yeah.
For me, man, the streets was something that we grew up living every day, so it became normal.
Yeah.
It's not just a film movie.
Yeah.
Right.
Sure.
So it became reality. And, you know, being a kid, you don't have the choice. You're living in your environment and you just become a product of the environment, you know?
Absolutely.
So for me, man, once I got to a point in age, as I started growing up, man, seeing the game, I worked in the movie industry in Hollywood for 10 years. And I used to take my cars to work. And eventually people used to be like, hey, whose car is that? Well, that's Chuch's car, right? Man, next thing you know, we're on film.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, we're on commercials.
And what did you do for Hollywood? What exactly was it that you did?
I was a driver.
Mm-hmm.
I was a driver, and we went directly to directors, script writers, film, anything. We were personal couriers for different labs: Warner Brothers, Sony, Universal, Paramount. Like, we worked for all the big labs, and what our company did was they archived all their shit, you know?
Nice.
So what we did, my boy, was like I would go directly and pick up a hard drive.
Yeah.
And it was like you're on GPS and you got to deliver that shit. Or if they were working on film, you went and picked it up and you bring on what they're working on.
Gotcha.
So you just like
Back and forth,
dog. Yeah.
You.
So
How'd you get into that, though? That's crazy.
Man, glad you asked that question. So I got out, the last time I got out was in 2000. What was 9/11 was when? 9/11 was
2001.
2001.
Yeah.
So I got out in 2000, around there. I got out, dog, and I got out from serving time for an assault with a deadly weapon case, you know. Now it was hard to get a job.
Yeah.
So I ended up working in Hollywood at Budget Rent-A-Car.
Nice.
And they used to rent out cars, vans, and the production companies were all down the street.
Yeah.
So now I'm working at Budget Rent-A-Car as just fueling cars and checking them out with tourists.
Yeah.
And people would come and go and all that stuff. So I started connecting with people. Eventually, some of my people worked in the studios. Mm-hmm. And that's it. And one day they came and they told me, man, like, dude, like, you could be doing much better, dog. But I was like, man, my restrictions with my PO and the job, right?
Yeah.
Well, eventually I got called in for an interview. And I have a Monte Carlo candied out.
Yeah.
I roll up and the dude sees it from the top, the one that's the boss, right? He sees me when I walk up. He's like, you into cars? And I was like, yeah, man. He's like, me too. Like, and it's like, dude, we were just talking cars, not even the job, bro. And then he tells me like, hey, when can you start? And I told him my situation. He said, hey, don't trip, man. Give him a week notice. Yeah. And we'll see you here a week later. You got the job.
Dang.
Yeah.
Bro.
So I went from working at a place where they looked at you like we always got looked at down on, right? I went from that previous boss. He would look, hey man, you ain't gonna do better than this and da.
Yeah.
But remember, the vision was always greater. You know. So these guys gave me an opportunity, my boy, and it was crazy, man. The only reason I ended up leaving, I never thought the movie industry was gonna go out.
Yeah.
It went digital, and when it went digital, a lot of people lost their jobs, right?
They went away from film and they went straight.
Yeah, everything was getting emailed and stuff like that. So I gave him 10 years, dog. And after those 10 years, it was a trip because right after that happened, my father had a stroke, and my father was self-employed.
Yeah.
And he was like, "Hey man, Jesse, can you run my business till I get on my feet?"
Yeah.
We thought my dad was gonna bounce back, and he didn't. He was on oxygen for a year, and he can never come back to his job. I had to run his business for, I would say, dog, a little bit over a year, 2 years.
That's crazy. What kind of business was it?
Landscape, dog.
Yeah.
And I anybody that knows me knows I don't say the word hate, but I hated that job.
Yeah.
I grew up watching my dad doing it, and on the summer breaks, and whenever he needed help, I would help him. But to me, as a kid and growing up, how we grew up, dog, like I grew up, my dad, I was my dad's only son, 3 older sisters. So my dad had me as in, take care of your mom, whatever she needs. If she needs a right to work, if she needs something, my mom was the hustler.
Yeah.
My dad had a job, but he was always doing his thing with his friends and his thing. My dad played ball in Mexico, and then he played ball in the States.
Yeah.
And so now I'm watching my mom go to work, minimum wage, and I see my mom like, "Hey, you at the house? Yeah. Hey, can you bring me this Avon stuff? Hey, can you bring me these vitamins?
Yeah.
Hey, bring me the Coca-Colas. Hey, bring me the jewelry, the clothes."
Yeah.
Like my mom went from minimum wage to bringing home $5-7 grand every month from the same warehouse, the same place she worked at, from hustling everything.
Yeah.
So I'm watching this shit every day, and come the weekends she's doing demonstrations, and now go with me, help me, and then she would give me a little something.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how my journey started, as watching a woman hustle, seeing things play out. The lowrider game came to me from just sitting in my steps in the front of my house, living in LA, and just watching people drive up and down, because people had mini trucks, they had Oldsmobiles, they had all these different cars, and it was just a way of life. It wasn't like that car that was just put away and came out once a year. Now you're seeing that play out right in front of you. The passion kicked in, because everywhere we went, even if it was across the border to Tijuana, my cousins were doing it.
Yeah.
My cousins were doing it in LA.
Yeah.
I was one of the youngest in the neighborhood. So I was just that kid watching everybody. And I lived in a vecindad. I don't know if you're familiar with that word, but I lived in a vecindad, which was like 11 houses in one property.
Yeah.
And we lived in the front house. And my dad wasn't somebody as a young kid to let me go out and do much.
Yeah.
So I would just look out the window. And in my neighborhood, of those 11 houses, I could see, it's like this. I could see everybody.
Yeah, beat it like in a beat.
Yeah. So we had the little pimp.
Yeah.
The one that buttered up all the chicks, you know?
Yeah.
We had the gangsters, we had the drug dealers, we had
bunch of characters.
Everybody in that spot, dog. And I got to see all of them, right? So as I was growing up as a kid, I said, okay, I like this from this guy. I like this from that person. And I just picked a little bit of everybody, and I built myself.
The best traits from everybody.
Yeah, I built myself, dog. And my mom had the influence of the hustle. I was hungry for it. I built my first lowrider bike at 13, and I sold it for a lot, and I tasted that. But it was like at that time, that was at 13. By 15, I already had a car. And
what was your first car?
My first actual car was a Datsun. That was the first car I ever owned, dog. It was kind of like what my dad said here, to make sure you move your mom around.
Yeah,
it was just a little. My cousin was going back to Mexico,
point A to point B,
and he was like, "Hey, here." But that shit didn't last long. Months later, I had an Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme.
Yeah.
I was 15 years old.
That's crazy.
Heated up the coils, dropped it, put a little sounds, dog, and I was G with it at school. You know what I mean? Yeah, for sure.
That's crazy, man. And then going from that first car to, to where you're at now, man, it's crazy. I bet looking back, it's like, dang.
We're talking about over 60, 70 lowriders later.
Dang.
And we're talking about over 120 cars later.
That's wild, bro.
Yeah. So in order for me to reach my peak, it's kind of like what you have to go through is, for me, because of the jobs and everything, the cost of living in LA.
Yeah.
what I had to do in order to finance my builds or build other cars, sell them, get some profits, and put them in my car to help me speed up my process. So one of the things that I see in the lowrider game is that a lot of people don't talk about their journey.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that work 9 to 5s, and they're like, how can you do it? You know, back in my days, majority of my homeboys were doing it with their income tax.
Yeah.
They had their kids and their girls and shit, and the homies were making $5, $7, $8, $10,000 off their income tax.
Yeah.
Then they would dump that shit in their cars, and they had a cool ass lowrider, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, you speed the process to today's time, it's lowriding is more expensive than ever.
Yeah.
And it's not cheap.
Yeah, it's an expensive hobby.
Definitely is, man.
Yeah.
But
on the low end for some bags or something, what is that? What are you looking at as far as like price?
You're looking at, like, right now in today's times, dog, average cost on hydraulics, like mainly lowriding is with hydros, and just for a setup itself, basic, you're looking at about $1,400 or $1,800 just for the setup. That's not even coils, not installed, no coils, no batteries, nothing like that, right? That's just for a basic setup. For something right now installed, you're looking about 5 racks. You know what I mean?
Crazy, bro.
That's $5,000 for something installed.
And then each battery, I don't know. I remember I saw your.
Yeah, the batteries are about 100 and something each.
And you got how many batteries in that piece?
I'm running 6 on my Lincoln, but there's people that run 16, 18, 10, 12, 14.
That's wild.
Yeah,
bro.
for sure.
That's
and then,
wild.
like I said, it all depends on the upgrades you want on your car. And that's not including the wheels. That's not including the paint, your upholstery, sounds, whatever extras. Yeah. So average cost right now to build a lowrider on the low end is about 30 racks, 30, 40 racks. And then there's cars all the way up now, $100,000, $200,000 to $500,000. You know what I mean?
So most of these guys who are in the club, they got regular 9 to 5 jobs that are supplying their lowriding
definitely
hobby. You know what I mean?
85% of the game for sure is 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And there's probably another percentage of people that own their own business or entrepreneurs. You know what I mean? And I feel like that's where we have to educate our people on that direction, because a lot of people that I speak to, like, when you talk about quality and paint jobs in cars and certain model of cars, right? A lot of people ask, hey, how much you got into your car? Or they'll tell you offhand, people will tell you, hey, man, how much you got in that car? Like 10 grand? Yeah. Right? And then you're like, damn, you know, like you can't even take it as an insult, because some of these people they're not educated in today's world, right?
It's like 10 grand barely covers the paint or
something. Yeah. So I feel like, because people, if I ever told my homeboys, hey man, I paid $20,000 for this paint. Yeah. They'll be like, oh, my homeboy could have done it for $2,500, right? There's always that one friend. Yeah. But the quality, once you start getting into the lowrider game and you start competing, a lot of it has to do like Rolex, like the brands, the signatures. Yeah. People see that. So you already know when you say, like when I was building my 61 and I got it painted the first time, it was painted by the Chevy shop in LA, in El Monte. And people already know that they have a reputation for building top-end Chevys, only 58 to 64. Yeah. And so it kind of, that's how it just, things apply, right?
It's kind of like a branding in itself, the paint job.
For sure. Just like anything in shoes in general, any brands, there's higher brands. And like I said, man, lowriding just took a turn. It's mainstream. If you see it now, you see it in movies. You see it in worldwide. It's not just in LA anymore. It's in different states, different countries. I mean, I've been blessed enough to see people in Brazil, Japan, Australia, anywhere, bro. You can see a lowrider now. Yeah. You see it in film, in multiple films now. Mm-hmm. So the market is pretty crazy, because now you got people actually making a living off the game. Yeah.
What are some of the movies and productions you've been in with your cars?
Well, being in LA, man, we were able to do a lot of music videos. That's mainly what they want you for. Yeah. Unless you're doing ads. Like I did a commercial for McDonald's once. Yeah. And I did that with my 65 rag. A lot of people that know me know I did that. I remember when I got the call, they told me, hey, man, McDonald's is interested in shooting with your car. And honestly, I ain't gonna lie, bro. I turned it off. I said, nah. Yeah. I just didn't see at the time being from the hood, and I was like kind of seeing Ronald McDonald on my shit. It was kind of like, man, I can't see Ronald McDonald on my car. Yeah. Right, that's what I thought. But when I made contact with one of my boys, he told me, Chuch, man, that's one of the biggest food chains in the world, bro. Like, why? Bro. You better get that, Hell yeah. And I called the guy back and I said, hey, man, what's up? Sign me up. What do we do? He said, send me your address. We're going to send the tow truck and pick it up. We need that car for a week. Yeah. And, man, they paid me $2,500 a day.
$2,500 a day, bro.
Dog.
Damn, bro.
A day, $2,500 a day, and that was back then, bro.
That was a lick too, huh?
That was
for 7 days.
For 7 days, dog.
Bro.
And it got to the point where I even called in sick and went out there and just got to show them how to use it, because the whole thing about that commercial was the guy going through the drive-thru, and it was like in the McDonald's that they use for film.
Yeah.
And it was like 3 different 65s, from the primer to the building to the final touch was mine.
Yeah.
And it was like the guy going through the drive-thru, spending hours working on his car.
Yeah.
The girl seeing him pull up and see the changes to at the end. He's hitting switches and painted, and he's rolling up on my shit, you know? Yeah. And it was pretty cool to see that, because, like I said, back in the days, we would do that shit for free.
Yeah.
Until I started working in the studios in the movie industry, and you start connecting with people, they give them a budget. Like, hey man, we got a budget of 30 racks. We need this, a red car, black car, whatever car.
Yeah. And
now they were making contact with me, and that's how I became overnight celebrity.
Dang, bro.
You know what I mean? Like,
that's wild. Yeah.
So that name came with a price. Imagine growing up with nothing, and then all of a sudden you're exposed to everything. Everything's coming fast. The name, the title I was holding at the moment, and everybody looking at you like somebody, right?
Yeah.
And I guess growing up in the hood, bro, that's everybody's dream. It's just being respected, recognized, and having a good name. And through the process of all that, bro, is what I share my story now with people is, don't lose yourself. You know, when you go through training, and any kind of training in life, bro, you're trained. You have to get trained to get the job done. Yeah. Well, we come from the streets where we don't come with a manual. We don't come with a direction. There's no book to lowriding. There's no book to the hood. There's no book to life like that. You're literally trying to survive. And then if you have it good, you're going to do the most. Yeah. But one of the things that I learned through the process, man, is don't lose yourself. And one thing I always tell the homies is take care of the house before you take care of the streets. It's a beautiful thing, man, when you have things to show for. Yeah. Accomplishments, a car, a trophy, like anything. Now, at 46, this is my piece, though.
Yeah, man.
It's the castle. You know what I mean?
You come home, you got your family, like, you got your home.
I got a little girl, 5 years old, that runs after me all day long. I love you, Dad, right? Something I'm not used to hearing. Yeah. Before moving to Texas, I have a 27-year-old back home, and I have a 17-year-old son back home. Mm-hmm. I have a son that I lost in 2006. He's buried back home. Mm-hmm. And there's no communication with my 27-year-old now. Mm-hmm. We've had communication off and on. I met her when she was 6. I saw her not be born, but days after she was born. And then I lost contact with her. And then I got busted. I did some time. I come out, and they don't live in the same place no more. I'll meet her when she's 6. And from the age from 6 till now, our relationship has been like this, right? Yeah, yeah. My son Angel, 17 years old. I saw him be born. I was with him the first couple years, 2-3 years, seeing him a day or two a week. I never got to live with a family. I never got to live at home with kids. Yeah. And it's a trip because you grow up being, right, like overnight celebrity. You grow up being Chuch from the street. Yeah. And these women will sit there and tell you they want to have your child or they want to F with you. But once you have that thing and you're still doing the same thing you've been doing your whole life, it's like you realize that a lot of people want to change you. Yeah, yeah. There's nobody that could change you but yourself.
Honestly.
That was one of the hardest things for me, bro, was people always trying to change me. And like I said, I learned how to survive by myself, with myself. Common sense, big factor. Yeah. My father applied that shit to me heavy. Mm-hmm. You know, my dad was very strict with me. Streets. He came from Michoacán, Mexico, and my dad was a fighter. He was in his own way thugged out. You know. Yeah. Stand up for yourself. Fight for yourself. Like they say, shoot first, ask questions later type of attitude. Yeah, yeah. And then I had a mother that was Christian, and I don't know how they hooked up.
Yeah.
And I have a mother that's looking at me like, don't do it.
Yeah.
And then I have a father that's like, you better do it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like when you see the angel and the devil right here.
Yeah.
It's kind of how I grew up.
That's that balance, that yin and yang, man.
And some of the things my mom applied now, like they say, you know, walk away.
Yeah.
That walk away part becomes very well applied now. Because now, if I don't walk away, I lose it all.
Yeah, honestly.
Back then, I lost my freedom for a bit, but I was at my mom's. I wasn't living in a home.
Yeah.
I didn't have a family, right? Now, what I say is, if it's not life-threatening, let it go. That's one of the messages I apply to my guys, because we've worked so hard, right? We've been on the brand, the movement, for going on 5 years. We started the brand from scratch, and now we're going a little bit backwards. But trip out on this, what do you think was my first business under the movement?
What's that?
Landscaping. Right?
The movement.
It was the movement, landscape, and pressure washer.
That's crazy, man.
And the reason I did that, my father did it 35 years. Mm-hmm. First. Second, I hated it enough that I knew I wasn't going to do it forever.
Yeah.
But I knew it well. When I moved here, I noticed that the rain here was through the whole year.
Yeah.
And my gardener, my landscaper was behind schedule. He was like, hey, man, there's so much work.
Yeah.
So when I started the brand, and I was like, dude, like, we started the clothing brand. We started doing different things. Mm-hmm. And I said, dude, let's start the landscape company. And we were able to take off with it.
Yeah.
And we made money in a few months. And then from that, we opened another door. And we just kind of worked our way to where we wanted to be.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a message that a lot of people won't speak about. You know, when you see a lot of these successful people, they didn't start off working for NASA or working for Tesla. A lot of these people started at Taco Bell. They started at Pizza Hut.
Yeah.
And if you hear today's stories, man, if you really hear somebody's story, it's not, you have to keep a job and fund yourself till you get to where you want to be. Mm-hmm. So I had to go to work in the studios for 10 years, get off of work, come home, hustle, and go back to work in the morning again for many years till I was able to feel strong enough to finally build the brand, the movement. And that was imagined. That was already in my 40s, you know?
Yeah.
So for everybody that's going to watch and listen, it's never too late. I work for many people. I was the right hand to a lot of people. And I always told myself, if you could run the streets, if you could run a car club, if you could run something else, you could run your own business. Yeah. Some people have good jobs where they don't need to even start a business. Some people are actually valued. They have somebody that values them. Some of us are entrepreneurs and we have a vision for something. And there's people that actually have good bosses and they work for good companies that really do take care of their employees, right? So I'm not going to sit here and tell people, drop what you're doing and go cut grass. No, for me, the landscape company was something that I knew I was going to do, but I disliked it so much that it was just like a stepping stone, but it was a start. It was a start to our brand. Yeah. Man, I still got scars on my feet, dog. From
the first jobs and
from
stuff.
From the cuts, right? And we just kept it pushing. Shout out to my brother-in-law, Lois. You know, he helped me. We started it together with the landscape. And then as we got into growing from the pressure washing and the landscape to then my brother-in-law, Irvin, came in. And one day when COVID started, we were just sitting there talking. Mm-hmm. And we started watching like On the Gas, Project Torque. Yeah. They were familiar with Texas stuff. And I'm from Cali. So I was kind of like, we're watching these guys through COVID grow. Yeah. And the giveaways and stuff. Yeah, yeah. And we were like, man, that's what's up, right? Like we see something, and it's kind of like something we had been talking about. When COVID happened, I sold my car as well. Yeah. I sold my 61, and it was time for me to invest and believe in myself. And that's when the movement, the brand was created. And from there, man, we used some of that money to invest into the landscape company, and we just kept it pushing. But one of the reasons for the giveaways was I got to see a lot of people lose their toys, sell their toys. Yeah. and everything to maintain and survive.
Yeah.
So the giveaways, man, we've blessed over 150 people already. We're about to bless people with a truck and car. We're about to do something for Thanksgiving, give away a Benz and a Cadillac. And I sell parts for lowriders, custom lowrider wheels, pumps. We build cars, we sell cars, and we do the giveaways. Now, nice, right? Bro. Now you guys see me clean compared to pushing the tractor and all that. When we started, and a lot of people see us and think, oh man, this guy just blew up.
What's it feel like to be able to have that vision and dream years ago and to now be able to sit here and be able to live in it? What does that feel like?
It still feels unreal, bro. It really does. But, you know, one of the things that I guess never let me really open up to my full potential to that was that I knew how to play second, third, fourth in any position.
Yeah.
Like, I was never really I want to be the boss.
Yeah.
It was more like, I'll play any position that helps us win.
Yeah.
And because of that, I was able to learn because I'm watching people. I've always been a learner. Even now, I'm still learning, right? Yeah. But it feels so unreal. But I feel like, for me, this wouldn't have happened in LA.
Yeah.
Because over there, I was surrounded by a lot of people that I couldn't see clearly.
And let's bring it back there a little bit. How did you end up coming to South Texas, the Valley, from LA? What was that all about?
So the way it played out exactly, bro, was once my father had that stroke and he came back to just functioning, I had taken all that time off, and now I'm coming back in the game.
Yeah. And
now the homies are like, come on, we got to keep it going. We got to start traveling again and the shows and shit and all that. In the process of all that, you know, I meet the homie here. You know, I met the homie here. And from there, it was like kind of like we started building a friendship, you know? And so one of the things about me is like I came out here in the winter and in summer for like 3-4 years.
Yeah.
I visited. When my sister passed away, that's when I said, that's it. I told myself, I'm going to do a physical.
Yeah.
And I'm going to hear my results. Because now my mom fought different things, cancer, different things. Now my sister passed away at 46. I was like, dude, I'm going to do this. I got my results. They said, oh, you have diabetes. I laughed about it. I said, man, at least I could live with it and I could get better.
Yeah.
And from there, bro, I talked to my boy Marcus, and we just, like, at that time, I'm already getting spiritually connected. I'm already starting to see my life different.
Yeah. We
prayed about the move, and one day I just made the call, and I said, man, I'm going to get up and I'm going to move. I ended up out here.
Yeah.
Like everything, man, it's a shock. It's a shock wave, bro. You go from a fast-paced environment. Right here, I feel like you can see it all coming.
Yeah.
You get to see what's next.
Yeah.
You get to see a lot of things. You're not watching over your shoulder every minute of the day.
It's real easy to anticipate how things will unfold.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like through all the obstacles and all the things that I've gone through, I've still been able to perform. Imagine I've been self-employed for 5 years, and I still, even on this whole year that we took L's with different restrictions on social media and stuff, like we still survived.
Yeah.
If I would have been in LA, I couldn't have
done the same thing.
Yeah, I couldn't have survived, right? So I feel like the Valley it was an opportunity for me, and it just seemed to be destiny, dog. Because the minute I moved here, you know, I come from getting out of a relationship to meeting my girl, starting a family, and it just seemed like there was a reason.
Everything happens for a reason.
Yeah, everything, the business, the family, the whole get down.
Yeah, and a lot of times I feel like there's always, you know, you don't necessarily need to understand the circumstance or why you're going through the stuff, but at the end of the day, like God always has his own plan, and you know, he's got to trust in whatever's happening is what's meant to happen, and just kind of live in that, you know.
For sure. So once you get spiritually connected, my boy, it's like you just gotta follow that.
And what's that like now, living in that light?
I was sharing with you before we started rolling that I literally just came out of that. I just came out of that treatment, right? Where I took a whole year.
Yeah.
After my pops passed away last October of cancer. Now my dad. Now I went from losing my sister to losing my dad in October of last year. And I said, you know what? There's so many things my father didn't allow me to do. Mm-hmm. My father was very old school, machista, homie.
Yeah.
You know, so when he passed away, I didn't know how to process. Growing up with a man that's like, shut up. Don't cry,
Don't show weakness.
Yeah,
don't show fear.
I didn't know how to cry. I didn't know how to express myself.
Yeah.
I started learning how to love when my daughter was born.
Yeah.
That's like, imagine I'm 46 and I'm barely loving, right? It sounds kind of weird. Having a woman that's not trying to change me, but challenges me.
Yeah.
To having somebody tell you, hey, go ahead and be the man and lead the way.
Yeah.
Compared to somebody else trying to tell you how the fuck to function.
Yeah.
That was the changes for me, being old school mentality.
Yeah.
If you told me don't do this, what's the first thing we did as kids when they told you don't do it? You did it.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's what happens in relationships. A woman wants to come and I'm gonna change this dude. And what's the first thing you do? You're gonna hold your guards up.
Yeah.
And you ain't gonna shit. You ain't gonna change shit. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
And with my girl, my girl Bernice, like she was a type that I don't care about your past. I didn't know you. And I was like, you don't want to know who I was, right?
Yeah.
And she was like, dude, I give 2 Fs. Like, I don't know who you were. And this is who I met now this way.
Yeah.
So that was kind of different for me.
Was it refreshing in a way? Like
it was, but I felt like in order for her to know the combination to the lock, she needed to know some of me, dog, because she's not used to a dude like me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you go from coming from LA and living that lifestyle, coming here, and this is not an act anymore.
Yeah.
You know, I see a lot of people that, an example, nothing against it. Like, I respect people that love our culture and lowriding and in our lifestyle and everything. But there's people that dress up on the weekend for the lowrider shows. They dress up as gangsters and suits because it's a culture thing.
Yeah.
And we come from that everyday life.
It's not just a costume.
No.
Yeah.
And
people come into these shows trying to...
Because they love it.
Yeah.
And you have to learn how to separate that.
Yeah.
Like when you was in the hood and you banged on somebody and they were like, oh, I don't bang. Yeah. But they love the culture, the dress code, right? There's so many things you got to start opening up to. Like if you see now, if you see the lowrider game now, especially living here in the Valley, there's a lot of sergeants, a lot of people that are in the lowrider game. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of people here, different, not just mechanics, not just restaurant owners, not just CEOs. There's different types of people in that look at lowriding as for me. Mm-hmm. I just made a post a couple of days ago. Like, I lowride to keep my mind right.
Yeah,
I made that post. Some people might understand it. When I'm behind that wheel and I'm in that car and the right music is on, and I just feel that cruise, that bump, bro, that little bounce.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm back in the 90s.
Yeah, bro.
I'm wherever you put that song at.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, and that's why I feel like music and lowriding go side by side.
Yeah.
And our culture, but there's so much to speak on. I guess we all have a story, right? Mm-hmm. So man, I feel like there's so much to be said. And I appreciate the fact that we could even get a voice across and people could get an understanding of who the movement Chuch is out here in the 956 now.
And what is your plan for the futures? What's the end goal with this new journey that you're going through?
The goal behind the movement as a brand and business is to help everybody achieve their dreams, dog. At the end of the day, man, what I want to be is a point of contact. I've told people this before, man. If I don't have what you need, I could help you find it.
Yeah.
So I'm using all my resources to help anybody and everybody in different fields. It doesn't just have to be car related. You know what I mean? If you were trying to get plugged in, I've plugged in rappers from here with rappers there. I've plugged in people with dog people. I've plugged in people with different builders, mechanics. I've plugged in people with anything that's random, just that you're like...
You're the one connecting the dots.
Yeah, I used to tell people I was like the Mexican Google, right? Like you know, like you tap in and I know a lot of people, so I'm able to connect dots. But I feel like that's what the movement became as a brand. It was just to help our people because I got to see a lot of people get played. I got to see a lot of people get taken advantage of. So when we created the movement, and you hear the movement, it means move. Like, let's move. It's like, I don't like to sell something I don't have, and I don't offer something I don't do, right?
Yeah.
It's to keep our people moving at a pace where, you know, it's like right now, you're motivated, you want this, you want it.
Yeah.
And if you tell me I got to wait 3 months from now, I don't want it anymore.
Yeah.
And that's what I feel like happens in the lowrider game. Honestly, like, you're motivated, you're like, dude, let's go. And then you're like, you're down, your parts never came through. And then you're not motivated. Now you sold your car.
Yeah.
And you're like, man. So what we're trying to do is help people build their dreams. We know what's hot. We know what's in demand. We know what people need. And I feel like if I could put you into something, because most of the people now are actually buying.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people buying, not building. The building process ain't for everybody, dog. I've done them both. Mm-hmm. The building process is not for everybody because now you got to build and you got to make sure you got the right team and you didn't get burned for money.
Yeah.
And then you have to work out the bugs of that build. So sometimes it's easier to buy a car from somebody that already built it, went through the bugs and fixed everything, and now you just get in and go.
Just get in ready to rock and roll.
For sure. And that's another battle of the built, not bought, not built dilemma.
Yeah, for sure.
But I feel that at this point in life, dog, like not everybody can build and not everybody has the resources. Mm-hmm. Some people don't have the patience. They got the money. And like me, I'm not a car, like I don't consider myself a car builder because I don't put my hands, I'm not sanding and painting.
Yeah.
I'm just a designer. Like
I want it right here.
I want this color, that. I know, like every car I've ever built, I designed. So I consider myself a designer. I don't consider myself that, but I don't count myself less because a lot of the cars that I've built have built a name for themselves, and it's because of the colors, the scheme, the story, and the builder and the people that put their hands on it.
Yeah, and the lowrider culture is deep down here now, especially I see how many people have lowriders and how big the community has grown in these past few years, and it's crazy to see, man.
Definitely.
From just having regular car meets to now we got like a hop competition now.
There's a lot.
Added in. It's like, damn, you never seen that before here. Yeah,
I sponsor a lot of the hops here. Mm-hmm. The movement Customs, my shop. We sponsor a lot of the hops here whenever there are hop events. Mm-hmm. We try to, because I feel like it's very important to showcase and to give back to the guys because a lot of those guys spend a lot of money to hop their cars.
Yeah.
And I feel like one of the reasons why people think we don't have a heavy lowrider game here is because we really don't have a lot of eyes outside.
Yeah.
When I share a picture, a video of what happened or what's happening, people are like, damn, I didn't know you guys had it like that.
Yeah.
And there is people that network. There is guys out here from different clubs that their clubs are maybe state to state, worldwide. Yeah. But I feel like we don't have that viral photographer. Yeah. We don't have that viral person that could post you up and let the world see you.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah.
For sure. Because that's what we're working on.
Yeah.
To me, the goal behind that is exposing a lot of solid people. There's a lot of good people in the Valley that are in the car game. Some of these guys are, like I said, tattoo artists, restaurant owners, mechanics, regular 9-to-5 guys that have a good story. They have they're adding a lot to the game. There's a lot of people that put in a lot of hours to make these events happen. There's a lot of positivity. There's a lot of support. Now you look at the Valley from east to west. I know it's something like, for me, I'm used to hearing that back home. Yeah. Like I'm from I'm kind of from the east side of the Valley back home. Yeah. And then right here, I live in the west side of the Valley. And then I hear from the east and west. And then, so when I've been coming out this whole year, I've been making it a point to support the east side and the west side and to show them that there's no
back and forth beef. It's all love. Y'all
one. For sure.
It's all one.
Yeah. So when we started the movement as a car club a year ago, we said, if you see our logo is the movement DM red as one, and it says state to state. We're not locked into just claiming. Yeah. When we opened the first chapter here in Texas, I spoke to the guys, and like I said, it wasn't my vision to start a car club.
Yeah.
I was really just trying to get the brand, the business going, and eventually people believe in your vision. They believe in what you did and stand for. So when you have people that are making you feel like, you know what, they want to follow what you got going on, and they want to help you grow something that you believe in, it's kind of like you have to ride it.
Yeah, for sure.
And so shout outs to the homies out here in Texas in the 956 that we started the first chapter. And I asked them, we could either leave it here, and they knew that I came from a worldwide background. So they said, Chuch, man, what happens if they start tapping in, trying to grow?
Yeah.
And I asked them, well, it's up to you guys. We could either keep it Texas only, or we could grow. The guy said, man, if we're going to go, let's go big.
Yeah.
So we're at 6 chapters right now. Shout outs to, like I said, Texas, New Mexico, and Albuquerque.
Nice.
We have Arizona, which is different guys in different cities out there. From Phoenix, Goodyear, so many. Arizona's another hot state, Florida. We have Central Cali, Northern Cali, and Utah as of right now. And it's a beautiful thing, bro, because growing up in the lowrider game and being part of clubs that are standards, rules, regulations, to creating the movement as a car club and letting the guys know this shit is last, and for them to be like, I'm still with it.
Yeah.
Because they're listening to what you're trying to push, right? I used to push lowriding first. Lowriding was, my family had a gathering, deuces. I'm gone, bro. My kids, hey dad, can you pick me up? Dad, I'm in Arizona. Yeah. Hey dad, can you pick us up? Hey man, I'm in Vegas.
Yeah.
And it became like, that's what I was. I missed out on so much.
Yeah.
And there's nobody to blame. Nobody pressured you. But it's like I said, eventually it becomes like if there's something you have to live up to, right? And that's when I started losing myself.
Gotta live up to that ego that you built.
Yeah. And I caught myself, bro. And I'm a Cancer, not as a Cancer, as my sign, right? If they're familiar, because some people believe in that shit, some people don't.
Yeah.
But I'm the type of person, bro, that I don't go with the wave. I don't follow any, like I stand firm in what I believe.
Yeah.
And once I see something that I was like, this ain't what I signed up for. This ain't the person this is not who I designed myself to be. That's when I just felt like I needed to stop.
Yeah, for sure.
I stepped out of the game for 2 years. And in those 2 years, like, I felt like I was detoxing.
Let's talk about that. How's this past year, you know, that journey that you've been going through spiritually, how's that changed from where you were to right now as we speak?
The beginning stages of my spiritual awakening was putting myself first. I lived a life always putting myself last. I never understood that.
Yeah.
I never understood how I put friends, family, everybody, car clubs, like lowriding. I put everything in front of myself.
Mm-hmm.
Until I started seeing that there's people getting hurt through the process. Kids, friends, family. My sister that passed away, she was like, hey, fool, like, I want to see you, but without your friends, without the lowrider shit. And you start realizing, bro, that we're losing time with a lot of people.
Yeah.
I let go of a lot of good friends that were friends, not homeboys from my hood, not lowrider people, but I put a lot of people aside that were really good friends to me because of the environment I was in, right? And nobody forced me to that. That's one of the things that I've said also out loud is like, nobody put a gun to my head and said, you got to do this. It's just like I said, this person that was getting, what I was shaping myself into was no longer, I was like, dude, I can't even see myself in the mirror.
It wasn't serving you no more.
It wasn't, bro.
Yeah.
So when I started going through a spiritual awakening, bro, my dad passed away. I didn't know how to process. And I said, you know what? Change has to happen. Now I'm fighting so many things mentally. Now I'm getting attacked in different ways. The minute I saw that, because I come from a religious background, I saw my sisters, when my sisters started giving their life to God and my family, I noticed that the people that give their life to God get attacked the most.
Yeah.
And I got to see that from a distance because I was the last one to put a foot in. Mm-hmm. And I remember I was like, how is it I'm doing good? How is it my money's right? How is it I got all this crazy, the life I was living, and I wasn't even committed to God, right? And it's because once you connected to that evil, it's like, well, as long as he sees you effing up, bro, he's gonna, he's like, well, I'm cool right here. I don't need to mess with this dude.
Yeah.
But the minute I took a step forward, man, my boy, the
world starts shaking up on you.
The attacks, personal friends, your circle, everything comes at you.
Yeah.
Exes, baby mamas, like everybody, dog.
Yeah.
And you have to just hold your ground. So for a whole year, I said, man, when the brand started doing good, people hear about it. When you're doing good, people hear about it. And when you're in a happy relationship, people hear about it. And here comes baby mamas. Here comes friends. Here comes everybody and everything. And that was one of the hardest things because how can you be loyal? How can you be loyal to people that ain't loyal
to you?
To you.
That's wild. One
of the hardest pills to swallow. I always thought that my friends were gonna be happy for me when I adjusted.
Yeah. I
thought like, man, people are gonna like. Back in the days, you saw me with a can of Bud Light. Everybody knew me. If you go back to YouTube right now and you put Good Times Chuch or just Good Times out, you're gonna see me with beer in my hand. I remember, dog, that people were like, would tell my pops when he was still alive, they would tell my dad, man, your son could drink 30, 60, 70 beers and he's still cool. And they would glorify me for an alcoholic.
Yeah. They
would glorify me.
That guy's badass. He could drink like a tank.
Yeah.
Like, nah, that's crazy.
They would glorify me for having 3 baby mamas at the time. They were glorifying me for the stupidest reasons, dog. And I got to see them going out with their kids, their families. And well, they would tell me all these things about how they looked up to me. In my mind, I was like, dude, I look up to you.
Yeah.
You get to go home with your family. You get to do all this extra shit. I don't have that life.
Yeah.
I don't even know if I ever will. You know? So those are the things that people don't see. A lot of us are fighting a lot of things. And imagine a whole year. I went through a whole year of rebuilding myself to who I am right now. And literally my journey just stopped it hasn't stopped growing, but literally I put myself in a position where I could speak now. Like now I saw everything play out and I see my purpose. But literally it took me a little bit over a year because I've been telling everybody on my page, on my lives, I would tell everybody we were going to do a podcast. And I couldn't speak. Bro. I was going through so many changes and I was trying to fix myself and I was fighting so many things that I was like, I don't want to feed bad energy to nobody. I'm that type of person. If I'm having a bad day, you're not going to hear me online.
Absolutely, yeah.
I'm not going to feed nobody no negative shit. So I had to hold back from that. And then we get restricted on our pages. So many things. Like I'm telling you, the minute I said, God, you know, lead the way.
Yeah.
And I put the brand in your hands and everything, my life. Man, my boy, those attacks were cool. Was something different, bro. All I could say, man, I know religion and I know spiritual conversation is not easy for everybody.
Yeah.
For me, I've been in every place you can think of where I've seen 90% of the people pray and ask for God's help when they're going through rough times.
Yeah.
But one thing I learned is that you also gotta thank God even for the days you don't have no troubles.
Yeah.
I was the type of person that if I woke up in the morning and my car was flat, I wouldn't get upset. I would thank God. Maybe he's slowing me down.
Yeah.
For a reason. Maybe he stopped me from hitting the road at that time.
Yeah.
I was always that type of dude that I found the positive inside the negative.
It's called the burnt toast theory.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Yeah, when
you know
you're running late for something and you spilled coffee on your shirt or you burned the food and it slows you down and pretty much could have been the universe saving you from an accident or wrong place, wrong time.
For sure.
Toast theory, right?
And I was always that dude. Instead of finding the negative, I always found the positive.
Yeah.
And to me, I've always lived by that. You know what I mean? There's times when I'm like, dude, I'm already late. Chill. You know, it is what it is. And when you start living your life like that, instead of finding the problems, like what the first thing we say is, man, I'm gonna have a bad day already.
Yeah.
You already curse yourself to having a
sure.
bad day. So I had to literally tell myself that, because it was getting to the point where I was like, oh, my dad died. My pages get restricted. Things are going bad. I guess, business decisions. I was never a businessman. And now my business agreements are verbally with a handshake. Mm-hmm. That no longer exists. Yeah. And when you have a legitimate business, it's contracts.
Yeah.
And so now we're learning everything all at once, creating an LLC, a business account, accounting lady, learning how to purchase things, learning how to deal with the taxes, right? And now you're like, this is all new to me. I'm a street hustler, and now I'm trying to run a legitimate business.
Yeah.
Bro, it was like complications because we don't have a lot of homies putting us on game.
Yeah.
So that's the reason for me speaking, is if I could educate our people in different fields, and if I could help 1, 3, 5, I feel like we won. And this is just my story. You know, there's a lot of more people coming behind this, but I feel that if we could sit here and put people on camera and hear their story, it's going to reach more people little by little. But there's a lot of people that have what it takes to be successful. There's a lot of people that just need that push.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people that just need to be heard. There's a lot of people that just need a stage. There's a lot of people that just need the smallest little thing. And I feel like that's where you guys, the camera, the energy, and a lot of the things we see now is gonna take over 2025.
Yes, sir. Most definitely.
I know we go back to meeting in different ways, right?
Yeah.
And then I feel like we've seen each other grow.
Yeah, for sure.
And then the timing was perfect, dog.
Yeah.
And I know we're all over the place with the conversation. And for me, it's like I'm not a script. I don't like to live my life on a script.
No, it's all organic.
It is. And I just want to invite everybody to tap in. If they're on Facebook, DM Chuch. If they're on Instagram, is DM_ the movement Chuch, right? And they could go on TikTok. Reach out. My line is always open. My page is open. It's not private. We do a lot of giveaways. We sell product. We help build your dreams. But one thing we do in our giveaways is in our lives is we push a message in every live. And it's how I feel, and it's crazy how I feed off of that. That's where the spiritual thing kicks in. When I'm on the lives, like, I don't know what I'm gonna talk about.
It just comes from the divine, man.
Whoever's tapping in.
Yeah.
Like if you checked in.
Yeah.
If you checked in and I feel it, I see your name, and I've been following you, so I've seen your post, your energy is like at 5 feet off of it.
Yeah, for sure.
And then I just go off, dog.
Yeah.
I just go off. And that's been my gift, man. I don't know, man. I was told that my mouth was my gift and I was going to speak, and it was my time.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I was told a few weeks ago. And I started speaking, dog. You tapped in, we talked, and then my pages came off restriction. We're at 500,000 views the last couple of days, and the world's watching.
The world's watching, man. You got a lot to say, and you got a lot of game to spit. So everybody out there, make sure y'all tap in with the movement, all the social medias, giveaways. We got a lot of crazy stuff coming. So
for sure.
Any advice you'd give 13-year-old Chuch, if you can?
Fight your fears. Speak up. Don't be shy. I lost a lot of time because of that. I lost a lot of great opportunities because of that. It's okay to cry. It's okay to have feelings. We're taught not to, as men, we're taught not to fold. We're taught not to express ourselves. We're taught some of us, you know? And one thing that if I could record certain things now, so my kids and for the future, is if you guys are watching me right now, if you guys have seen my journey, man, all I can tell you guys is, man, this is the best and the strongest I've ever been. And the reason for that is I'm not fighting anything. I'm not forcing anything.
Yeah.
I let everything come to me. One of the greatest things I learned is patience. I was never patient. And I'm at peace, bro. That's something I learned and I accomplished 2 months ago.
Yeah. What are some of the steps you take to find peace in yourself?
Every time I travel, the last 2-3 months, I travel somewhere. In those drives,
yeah,
I shut down everything.
It's like meditation almost.
I started meditating also. But my spiritual coach Jessica, she told me, when you're on these journeys, when you're on these road trips, take advantage of that.
Yeah,
it's the greatest times for you to think.
Yeah,
and it's the greatest time for you to process. Peace and quiet, giving yourself time. What I do now, if I'm spending time with my family, I put the phones away. I try to separate everything now. I don't like to be like, okay, I'm with my son's game and I'm on the phones.
Yeah.
I try to separate things. But one thing that has really worked for me is giving my time. I went from not putting myself first to now I go, like I said, I might sound funny to some people, but now I go get my feet done, right?
Yeah.
Something that I never did. My father was totally like, my dad would have been, right now he's probably flipping over in his grave, right? But I started doing self-care, self-love.
Important.
I go get my massages. I get my feet done. I get my treatments. My spiritual coach Jessica, and it's cool to have somebody like that because they hear you out. They're not in favor of anybody.
Non-biased opinion.
Yeah, they tell you the truth. Hey, this is what you got to do, and this is what you got to do with yourself first. And once you start following those steps, I would come home to my girl and I'll be like, man, I wanted to share with her. Because once I started loving myself, it was easier for me to love my daughter, love my girl more, love my homies. Then I start reaching out to my friends and be like, hey, my boy, I appreciate you. Yeah. And I started, it was different. I started like that. Some people will disappear and they'll reappear if they're meant to be in the next chapter. Some people will never leave. And then you're going to meet a lot of new people that are going to help you into the next journey. Like an example, you guys popping up right now.
Yeah.
I feel like I was told this months ago by somebody. They told me at the end of the year, something's going to happen. And 3 weeks ago, I got news of something. I got people I got meetings with in a few weeks. I got you guys. And there's so many things that are playing out.
For sure.
So I feel like the time is now to speak up. It's all positive vibes and energy. And it's giving people opportunities. And like I said, just hearing somebody's stories, if you look at people's churches, if you see people give their testimonies, I'm by far a church 100%.
Yeah.
But one thing that I've learned is when you hear people's testimonies, it's not going to reach Aunt Bertha. It might reach your homeboy, right?
The person who needs to hear it.
For sure.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's the case. Like my story's not for everybody, but it's going to open the eyes to somebody.
Yeah, for sure.
And my journey is just to put the next person on and continue to put as many people on in that direction. Because I feel like the cameras went off in Hollywood and then I moved to Texas and there's no Hollywood here, but we're bringing Hollywood here.
Yeah, we're gonna make it happen, bro.
There's talent, dog.
Yeah.
There's talent. There's so much here. It's a fast growing place. And I feel like you guys, everybody's going to bring something to the table, and it's just time for us to create our own
movement, our own culture.
For sure, bro. We have enough. There's a lot of people making noise here.
Yeah.
Not just in the car game and truck game, bro. There's a lot of people making noise. You have groups now that are coming out of here that are hit songs, you know.
Yeah.
You have the a lot of these companies that are moving here. You have a lot of construction. You have so many people moving here. There's so much going on.
Most definitely. That
I'm excited for because I feel like Back to the Future.
Yeah, man.
I just feel like I'm a little bit ahead of its time.
Yeah.
And I came here and I could see it happening.
It could kind of project the trajectory of how everything's going to unfold.
So these cameras, man, keep an eye on it. Keep these guys in prayer because it's important, my boy, when you start putting things in motion like this, you know, not everybody's going to be happy to hear somebody's positive story.
Yeah, for sure.
And I feel like whenever there's that, you have to protect it.
Yeah.
You know, same thing happened with Biggie and Tupac and all this shit, right? Like, you look at it in different areas, man. But blessing to you guys, man.
Thank you, bro.
I hope we could continue growing. I know the channel's going to grow with it. And there's more people coming up behind me. So,
nice, man. Any last words you want to leave before we're running out of camera life right now? So,
no, man. Just know that my line is always open. Believe in yourself. Create an environment to protect your peace, and just put yourself first, man. Love yourself, and everything will follow, man. Believe in yourself. We got you guys, man. Reach out.
Awesome.
God bless you guys, man, for sure.
Thank you guys for tuning in. Another episode of Wave 3 TV. Again, first episode of the year. We kind of, same thing as you, man. We had to put a pause on everything and refocus and recalibrate ourselves and kind of see where we needed to be at. But kicking it back off, first guest is, you know, a good friend of mine, known him for years, and spitting some game for y'all. Make sure you follow all the pages, Wave 3 TV, The Movement, Facebook, Andrew Lozano, All Red Vision. Make sure y'all go follow All Red Vision, and that's it, man. We'll be back at it with another one pretty soon, and stay up to date. Thank y'all.
Bye. We out.
Appreciate it, bro.
Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir.